The really positive economic news, the fact that the Canadian economy does appear set for a soft landing, that's good news. But Canadians aren't feeling it. People have been talking about a Vibecession and how that is a challenge for the Canadian economy.
Think about kind of the position they got to be in order to get to the point where they're now blaming us. I'm kind of like, wow.
But ultimately, as much as it is a tough economy and there is doom and gloom, but within it all, there is the opportunities. And that's what we have to get our listeners to shift.
I love this opening headline we talked about here, which is that Freeland says we're not in a recession. The economy is great. We're in what you're calling, or what people are calling, a Vibecession. It's just the vibes that are bad. I can't believe she said this. I just can't believe it.
You know, it's interesting that our Liberal NDP government continues to spiral downhill. They're desperate. I mean, for her as our finance minister to stand in front of a camera and deny that we are feeling the pain of inflation, the pain of an economy that is turning down, and then to say
we're not really going into a recession. It is kind of a soft landing. It's just bad vibes. We're just not feeling it.
You know, but having said all that, I listen to it as long as I can. That's really hard for me to do. But JG, this goes back to one of the things that I often shine a light on, which is in some regards, it is a bad vibe. And that is because consumer confidence continues to be challenged. Like, people just aren't feeling confident. The challenge with that, of course, is as consumer confidence drops, it really is an indication that people aren't spending money. In an economy like Canada, where we are driven by consumerism, when people stop spending money, it is that downward spiral, and that is what we're bumping up against right now. So Freeland, to the degree that she knows what the hell she's talking about, which is to no degree, ultimately, she is right about one thing. Consumer confidence is waning. It is challenged. And so is that a bad vibe? Yes. But to come out and say, our economy is
really doing great, we're not really in a recession.
To me, that's just pure gaslighting.
The really positive economic news, the fact that the Canadian economy does appear set for a soft landing, that's good news. But Canadians aren't feeling it. People have been talking about a Vibecession and how that is a challenge for the Canadian economy.
Well, I was just going to say, Patrick, it's like, as speakers, you and I have done, tens of thousands of hours of public speaking. And you never blame the audience. You don't stand on stage and blame the audience. I mean, you know what I mean? And that's essentially what she's done, except she does it in front of a camera and she blames the people. I mean, it's just absolutely crazy to me and makes no sense. But you are right that it gives an interesting sense of where they're at and kind of what's happening behind the scenes for them. Because for someone to get to that point, think about kind of the position they got to be in order to get to the point where they're now blaming us. I'm kind of like, wow, you're in a really bad spot if you're going to stand in front of a camera and blame us, the people, Canadians. I find that fascinating. She must be in a tough spot. There's obviously some wrinkles behind the scenes, if you know what I mean.
Am I the villain? I don't think I'm the villain.
Well, it just really shines a light on the incompetence of our government, and that is something that we've talked about many times. The good news is that it will go away. I think that our NDP Liberal government is going to get literally crushed in an epic way going forward. That's the good news. Through all of this, I always come back to, okay, what does this mean? So fundamentally, JG, we talk about it. I mean, I get kind of teased about being the doom and gloomer boomer, but ultimately, as much as it is a tough economy and there is doom and gloom, but within it all, there is the opportunities. And that's what we have to get our listeners to shift.
That's what I was going to just about to say, Patrick, which is, listen, this isn't necessarily wrong. The market is where the market is, and you have to meet the market where it is. And definitely consumer confidence is down. Now, as a real estate investor, a sophisticated real estate investor, and especially those that are just starting out, it's really, really tough to invest against those headwinds because you want that consumer confidence. You want those sunny vibes and the rainbows and all that stuff. And I get all that because, listen, nobody wants that more than this rose-colored glasses guy. At least I'm accused of being such as Patrick. But the point is those investing in the face of this is where the greatest opportunities live, is when the consumer confidence is at its lowest, when things look to be going wrong. This is where the opportunities are. You're 100% correct, Patrick. And you and I just spent the last 3 days together, which was a ton of fun. And you and I saw some of those opportunities. We drove around, you and I drove you to these properties. I showed you these opportunities that are coming down the pipeline. I mean, you're seeing what I'm seeing, right? Rose-colored glasses or not, bro, you're seeing it.
Well, and that's the thing, right? Is that, to your point, we drove around and saw the opportunities, and you're very familiar with your own backyard. And that is part of the, whole thing, is that you got to be dialed into what's going on. You can't be sitting on the sidelines thinking that these opportunities are going to fall in your lap. You're not. So is it harder work? Yes. Do you need to be courageous? 100%. But JG, one thing that we didn't really talk about. So as much as Stephanie and I had the opportunity to speak at a TEDx event, so fun, university students, it was just inspiring and actually gave me hope for the future when I talked to some of these kids and we saw where that was going. Like, it was awesome. But on the previous day, I spoke to a large group of professionals that are in the real estate business, and they're just in business in general. And, I laid out what I was seeing and what was happening overall, and understanding one fundamental thing is that they're looking at it and they come around and they go, man, it's so hard to be optimistic about our economy, but they also see what's going on. And really what I delivered on in that particular presentation that I did was an overarching, where's the economy today? Where do I see it going? But we all had the conversation around, as much as this is about growing wealth, JG, I cannot stress this enough. This is about wealth preservation. We'll call her our finance minister. That's what her title is. Freeland, we talk about the Canadian dollar. We talk about fiat currency being decoupled. She's decoupled. At the end of the day, we look at what's happening with our dollar. We need to get our capital placed into a store of value. Real estate is one of those stores of value. That's about wealth preservation. Can't stress it enough. And this is an opportune time.
So if you like these episodes and you want to learn more about what's going on with real estate in Canada, investing in real estate, and understanding how to invest in real estate the right way, head on down to the descriptions below. Follow those links.